Obviously, bats came alive a little bit more later in the game. Just talk about the winning effort in the 7-2 win.
Well, I tell you, we first and foremost, the kids deserve the credit today. They responded from what yesterday was an extremely tough and disappointing loss for our baseball program. And our guys came back and responded and displayed I call it a kind of a resilient toughness, and they found a way to get it done. We talked about it as a team, that today was just all about being determined. Really, you just got to be determined. At the end of the day, you got to find a way. The two biggest things as we move forward from here, it's all about, do you learn from it? Well, I hope today we learn from it, but to continue to keep it going, there's two things that will determine our success moving forward. Number one, they got to understand that we need to keep getting better in every aspect. We need to get better. That's how you play your best baseball at the end of the year. And number two, they got to understand that when you show up every day, you have to prepare to play. That's mental. Physically, we'll put them in position with BP and infield, outfield, but mentally, every day you got to prepare to play, no matter who you're playing. Those are the two things that will determine our, the majority of our, faith the rest of the year.
You dropped Darnell to the bottom of the lineup today, and you responded with a 2-hit, 3 RBI performance. Can you talk about his day today?
Darnell was huge, without any question. Darnell was huge. Darnell is always, Darnell has been a leader for us right from the get-go. Obviously, is our starting shortstop and has done a great job. Darnell is an extremely confident player, and he's a great player. And I just shuffled the order a little bit sometimes to give some guys some different looks and just maybe they get a few different pitches or whatever it might be. But Darnell deserves all the credit today. The way he was swinging the bat, he could have hit anywhere in the lineup and it wouldn't have mattered. To his credit, and obviously he got the big hits for us today. The majority of the biggest hits when we needed them.
Talk about Chris Matulis and his outing out there.
Matulis was great. You want to talk about guts? There's a lot of guts out there with Matulis, and he continues to do it. That was, it was all guts. Look at those situations right there. Bases loaded, getting out of it. All these different scenarios that he pitched in, and he found a way to get it done. When he went in there into that last inning, the inning before, prior to that was a tough inning. That was a really tough inning. He was only at 89, 90 pitches after that inning, but that took a lot out of him. I knew it, but I want to go out there and give him a chance to kind of get another one and work through it. But look, Chris Matulis has competed like crazy for us all year, and today is just another example. He created a couple jams, for himself, but he got out of the majority of them, did a great job.
How much did his pitch count influence your decision to take him out in the 6th inning?
The pitch count influenced me a little bit, but he was tired. I knew he was. I knew he was tired. I could see just from what the ball was doing. And it wasn't so much his pitch count. It was the inning before that took a lot out of him. And he may not admit that when you guys interview him, but that's the competitiveness in it. But it took a lot out of him, that inning before. That was an emotional inning. So physically he was throwing the pitches, but emotionally he had to grind through it, and he did that. So that was the reason. And I knew with Brownie up there, that guy kind of struggled a little bit with off speed.
What is Joe Rogers with this program? I understand. I guess he got his 10th save and got it tied the career mark for the school record.
Yeah, Joe Rogers has meant a lot to this program. The last 3 years. Certainly he's been our closer from the first game, the moment he's arrived here, and Joe's continued to get better and better for us. And this year he's clearly from a command standpoint and those things having his best year. And Joe has been a huge reason for the success of our team so far this year, without any question. First and foremost, Joe Rogers is a competitor. He really is. He's a competitor, and he cares. And he was. We've told the story before, but I remember the first time I saw him pitch, like it was yesterday in the summer, and he was playing for the Juice with Chet Lemon, and it was Austin Johnson, and it was Talladay, and it was Joe Rogers. And I remember we just sat there and watched those guys at a tournament for a long time, and you just see by his personality that that guy was coming to UCF. I was going to do whatever he could. And he and I were a good match together, I thought. So, but Joe's been great. He's been great. He's got the mentality. He's got the stuff. And to Joe's credit, I think this is from a pitching standpoint, this is his best year by far. And Joe deserves the credit because he's worked extremely hard.
Was that the summer before his senior year in high school? That
Yes,
you saw him?
That's correct.
So
yeah.
He was a pretty high priority for your class once you scouted him.
Correct. He was one of that summer. He was one of the first guys that committed to us. In that big class. Really within about 2 weeks, I think we had about 10 guys. But it was we were working. But there's a lot. But it was all those guys. It was Talladay and it was AJ and it was Joe and Ronnie. All those guys and D. All of those guys, and we saw them within about 2 weeks. I'd seen them before that, and we couldn't get them up here quick enough. And they got here. They believed in the program. So those guys, I mean, I know it's a little bit off track, but I'll tell you what, just there's so many people that deserve credit for the success of this program and where it's been. And it's all about these kids. But that group of kids, you know what I mean, who came in here and could have gone to a lot of different places, and they believed in what they wanted, you know, what this program was going to be, what this team could be, and kind of make their own legacy, so to speak, and they're on their way to doing it.
Let's talk about now these, I guess, this final stretch run beginning with Marshall. You guys are 13-5 in the conference, tied with Rice right now. These are pretty big games coming up in Charleston.
Well, I tell you, we need to play well. You know, we need to play better. If you tell me, I told you kind of the mental side, of what we need to do to be successful. We need to work, we need to get better, and we need to prepare to play each day. We weren't prepared enough to play yesterday. It's me. You know what I mean? I take responsibility for that, and to get them in better position to play mentally. So we need to do those two things. But I'll tell you, the one thing is this. This is the one area that, in my opinion, needs to get clicking for us to make this run, and our offense needs to get going. It is what it is. Obviously, we need to try to continue to what we're doing pitching-wise. I mean, we've pitched pretty consistently throughout the entire year. Our defense has been average, but we need to hit. We have to hit. When you get going, whether it's Marshall this weekend, or it's Rice, or you get to the conference tournament, or regional perhaps, and go beyond that, everybody's got good arms. I say that all the time, to our guys. When you get to an NCAA regional, if you get there, everybody has good pitching. That's what got them there. Even if you're the number 4 seed, you get to an NCAA regional because you got a couple of really good arms. Okay, so one of the keys down the stretch is you got to swing the bats. You have to. The pitching is what's an absolute. You have got to swing the bats in the last third of the season. So for me, as we move forward and get going here later this week to prepare for Marshall, we need to make sure that we're ready to go pitching-wise. We need to maintain our defense, and we got to find a way to get our offense going even more. I know we scored 7 runs today. I want to score 7 runs every night. I mean, that's the kind of offense, the dynamic offense that we have, and that's the number one area that we got to get going.
You talked about how consistent your pitching's been this season, but Brian Atkins struggled a little bit yesterday. Did he maybe pitch himself out of the rotation for this weekend, or are you going to stick with him?
Brian Atkins will be in the rotation this weekend. There's no question. It's baseball. Brian he didn't pitch well yesterday, but I will stick with Brian Atkins. Brian Atkins will be in our rotation all the way through here as we get going in some capacity. I don't know where they're going to fall. But no, Brian would definitely be out there. Brian was just up in the zone a little bit yesterday. And that's the key. He's not an overpowering guy, so he has to stay down in the zone. I mean, there's a margin of when you throw 95, your margin of error is about you get away with more. When you throw low 80s, you don't have a great margin of error. So every pitch matters, and if you leave one pitch up, they got a chance to barrel him. And BA left a couple pitches up, and he's not. The reality of it is when you're a command pitcher, more balls are put into play. Well, the more balls are put into play, the greater the chance you have for hits. But he'll be back in there. I will tell you this. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to move our rotation. Our rotation is going to be juggled a little bit, because I want you to think about this now. It's going to be 2 weeks where guys will have to go on shorter rest because we played this series Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay, and then we're going to Marshall Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we come back to Rice Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the conference tournament starts on Wednesday. So that's 3 out of 4 rotations where you're moving everybody up in the rotation one day. So hopefully it's advantage us because I feel like we've got 4 very good starters. We've got some other guys that are capable of starting, but you got Matulis, you got Hanson, you got BA, Brian Atkins, and you got Ben. Well, there's 4 guys. So I'm going to kind of, I've already mapped it out, I think, but we'll have a little bit different look, I think, this weekend.
Where does Eric Skoglund fit into that mix?
Eric's coming out of the pen for right now, for this weekend for Marshall. We'll see. Obviously we've got a very important Stetson game on Tuesday, so I haven't really decided yet. But, look, I mean, Skoglund's a guy that is right there, the opportunity perhaps to start. But, we need Skoglund and Nuss in those middle innings. We need those 2 guys. We need those 2 guys. Nuss, did it yesterday for us, and Skoglund's going to get that opportunity to do it for us also. Obviously threw an inning the other day is important to get out. I got him out of there so I get Matt Collins an inning, obviously, but he'll play a big role.
Talk more about this conference race. This is where you want to be, with 6 games left. You're tied. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more. I know you had a disappointing week against Memphis, but to be 13-5, in this position with 6 games to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you're a social, this is what you want. I mean, you got 2 weekends left, and you're tied for first place. So just go out and win games. It's that easy. But I mean, it's the truth. I mean, this is what you want. I mean, in essence, you control your own destiny. We just got to go play. But I can tell you this. I mean, Marshall's a very good team. They really are. I mean, their arms are good. They've just, they played a lot of close games, and they've just kind of been on the other end of a few games where, some other teams have been on the other end of it, in a positive way. They're a great team. They're well coached. Coach Wagner's a very good coach. They got a good job. I mean, look at them. Those starting pitchers they've got, those guys are all returning from last year, and they got Ballou and some other guys. So, it's going to be last time we were there, we didn't play well. So we got to take care of business at Marshall before we can even get to Rice. But, it all depending on this weekend, the reality of it is you just got to take care of business this weekend and see what happens. All right?
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.